of the river, the piranha fish, the ones you always hear about that eat everything that comes in the water. Anyway, we'll find out more about them. So welcome back. This is also another charmer, this guy. He's terrific. Dr. David Smith. Say hello to him. Okay, so I think to start off with, what's a nice boy like you doing in the Amazon? What were you doing down there?
That's a good question. Yeah, I was having a good time, actually.
Were you?
Apart from anything else, yeah. We were down there with a bunch of Canadian scientists for about a month studying fishes that breathe air. These fishes have got sort of modified buoyancy devices that they actually breathe through. And we wanted to know how they did it and how they breathed and so on.
I saw just the other night, somewhere, where did I see that? On somebody's show, a fish in a tank with legs.
Probably an axolotl, one of those little amphibians.
Yeah, it says eventually it comes on land.
Yeah, that's right. This is the kind of thing we were studying. And in fact, the results of the work that we were involved in down there eventually wind up in a book like this.
This is what you go and you study for to put out a journal, is that it?
Yeah, these results in the journals like this, and it's kind of lying around in literature then for people to read and to use in the future.
Fantastic. Do we have a map here somewhere? It's on the front.
There's
Where is it?
Here. Yeah.
I'd just like to let people see where we're talking about and where you were here. Yeah, I don't think anybody ever realizes the extent of the Amazon River. I mean, just how big and how much of an area it covers of South America.
Yeah, before we went there, we all sort of sat around reading books about the Amazon and trying to work out the statistics, and you get a bit dazzled by the figures. They don't really mean very much. You know, it's the second longest river in the world, and it's got 7 times the volume of the Mississippi and this kind of thing. It doesn't mean too much till you get there. When you get there, you discover that at the town we started work, at Manaus, which is about here, it's about 1,000 miles upstream from the mouth of the Amazon, the river there is about 2 miles wide, 300 feet deep, and flows at about 10 knots.
Wow.
So, and that's...
How do you get there?
You get there by plane. We got there by plane, but ships can actually
seaplane
go...
or
No, we just flew into the airport at Manaus,
yeah.
But actually ships can go up the Amazon for about, over 2,000 miles, which is quite incredible. Ocean-going liners can go up there. And in fact, it's an open piece of water. Ships from any nationality can go up the Amazon and visit all the countries that the Amazon goes through, into Peru, for example, with no customs problems, which is unusual.
Yeah, but everybody along that river, that would be their lifeline, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
with the lifestyle that they live there.
Very much so. You find that the rich part of the river, where there's a lot of fish and so on, is the natives there are very well cared for, they're very healthy and so on. But further back into the jungle, the wildlife has been taken over by foresting programs and things like this to quite a large degree, and so they're much less well nourished. It's a bit of a problem, but the people living on the river themselves are fairly fit and well cared for.
There's a lot of dangerous animals and things in the jungles there. In fact, well, we'll talk to you about some of the more common ones that people would know about.
Yeah, well, actually, I went swimming in the Amazon. We all went swimming in the Amazon. It was really hot there. You know, it's about sort of 35 degrees and 99.9% humidity. Oh, wow. So just sort of walking around breaks you out in this incredible sweat. Yeah. That's a picture of me jumping off the bow of the boat, actually. And while you're falling, it's a fairly high bow, and you've got a fair bit of time to fall. And you're sort of constantly wondering about these stories about piranhas and what you're jumping into when you're going to strike the water surface.
Are they going to do something?
It's not just piranhas. There are all sorts of other animals there too. There are crocodiles, a type of crocodile which are called a caiman. And it's actually amazing. We're sitting out at around some of the pools at night, just watching some of the fish and monitoring temperatures of water and things like this. Yeah. And you shine your torch around the water, around the edge of the pond, and you see these little red eyes glowing in the dark. And of course, the distance between the eyes is a good guide to the size of the caiman that's out there looking at you. So some of them were that far apart, and you kind of raised your feet up off the ground. Hope they're not going to come too close to you.
Tell him he can go where he wants.
Yeah.
They also say that there are a lot of, now this is, it may sound like a silly question, but it's not, because I've heard people say that there are forms of animal life in those jungles that they feel they haven't even discovered yet.
Oh yeah, that's true. I guess every year there's probably several hundred new species of animals discovered there. Yeah. We know very little about the animals that we can even list on our species lists. That's why we're there doing this sort of work, you know, to try and document which animals are there, how they breed, what the pollution effects in the river are having on the fish and so on.
All right, let's talk about, I want you to come back another time and tell me about some of that animal life that's down there, because I'd really like to do an extensive thing on that. I think that's interesting. But what about the piranha? Now first of all, let's take a look at what we're talking about. Now you're not allowed to have live piranha in Victoria or even in Australia, period. Yeah. Okay. What is the reason for that? Would they breed?
Well, Can you imagine having the Moomba Water Ski Festival with piranha-infested yarra? You know, I mean, it just wouldn't go.
Well, you wouldn't want to lose, would you?
You wouldn't want to fall off.
Okay.
Yeah. These are some piranha.
That's what they look like, and here's another one here.
These two large ones, that's about as big as they grow. They perhaps grow to a few inches bigger than that. They're pretty sizable fish. They school in schools of about up to 400, 500 fish at a time. So you can imagine all those little teeth. They've got this tremendous precluded lower jaw. They're sort of the Frank Thrings of the fishy world, you know.
Yeah, right.
Good to see you, darling, you know. they're
and only half as vicious.
Right.
How many of these how long would it take a school of these, for instance, if a man did fall into the water?
They probably wouldn't take very long. I reckon they'd take out the average person down to bones, sort of a bit like Reno with his knife, you know. They'd take you back in a matter of 2 or 3 minutes, probably. Because they really get, well, stuck into you. They really...
But the odd part of it is, though, that they don't really attack all the time, as people think they do.
A number of people have gone to the Amazon trying to get film of the sort of feeding frenzy that they go into and so on, and just trying to find out where they are and where they feed, and are they really as dangerous as people believe. And it usually takes them quite a long time to even see them feeding. It seems to boil down to the fact that on certain days the weather's right and the tide flows and things are right, and on those days then some triggering behaviour is released, which we don't really understand yet, and that's when they go into this feeding frenzy. Now, as I said, when you're swimming in the river, you're very worried about the triggering factors and whether they're about to go into a feeding frenzy.
Yeah. Is it seasonal, or can it just happen at any time?
We don't know.
You don't know?
We don't know the answer yet, yeah.
Well, what do they live on in the meantime?
They live on their cousins. They're a group of just bony fishes like a lot of other fishes that people keep in aquaria.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a picture of what happens when you're catching piranhas, and you can see that they actually eat each other. If one of them's a bit wounded or a bit sluggish or something, they'll hop into that and take fairly sizable chunks out.
Basically, they're cannibalistic, is what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah. Silver Shark Aquariums, by the way, loaned us these. It was really nice of them, because we were searching around trying to, being naive like we are, we were searching around trying to find live ones, and then we discovered you're not allowed to have any live ones.
Yeah. We've got this little piranha up on the top of the tank here, and as I said, the big one is not as common as these little ones. This is actually the most ferocious of the piranhas and the most aggressive one. I'll turn around so you can see his teeth there, yeah. And the teeth actually, as you can see, are little triangles, and they lock over each other as they close their mouth and kind of have a scissoring action which keeps them sharp. So they really are razor sharp the whole time.
Would they, there seems to be this great fear about the piranha in a country with a warm climate, I suppose. Would they breed very well
I
here?
reckon they'd breed extremely well in anywhere north of Sydney. Yeah, so I wouldn't like to see them introduced into Australia. I think it would change... well, I mean, we've got the problem of the European carp in Australia, and we can't eradicate those now. They were introduced for a supposedly sensible reason, which turned out to be not so sensible. Imagine if these things were loose in the river systems.
I can.
I mean,
well, just to give people an idea, this is sort of a dramatization more than it is a reality. There's a motion picture out now that has Lee Majors in it, and this is just one particular scene from this motion picture that's supposed to show this frenzied feeding thing and so forth. Have a look at this here. This is when they invite you over to dinner, you're it, right? Well, come back and talk to us some more about the Amazon. I'd really like to, and a lot of other things, David.
Fine.
Because you're welcome back here anytime. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
okay,
Tom.
Dr. Davis.